Hello everybody, my name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer, also sometimes a robot. Wait a second. And today I wanted to talk about a couple of things like cowardice, like bullying, which sounds like a silly phrase, but you know how much bullying there is going on, like, all of the time, but especially in anything that has to do with anything creative, and especially in, like, the bullying within the reading and the writing community goes on to so many different... It goes on in so many different ways, but we're going to talk about it among publishers, we're going to talk about it among creatives and the way that creatives pressure each other, and we're going to talk about it among fans a little bit because of the Hogwarts Legacy stuff. Before we get into the meat of today's video, though, a couple of things. Number one, if you enjoy what I do on this channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on this channel and be somehow associated with this insanity... I'm sorry, but there are two ways. One is through the monthly prompt contest called Lemoy, where I give you guys a prompt, you respond to the prompt with a short story of some sort, you know, within the perimeters, and then first Monday video of the month, we're reading those together. It is a heck of a lot of fun, and y'all are always insanely creative. The second way is if you are an indie author and you would like your book featured on this channel, check out the Fresh Meat feature, where if you send in your first chapter and your cover, they will be read here, and hopefully it'll help more readers find your book to enjoy the whole rest of the smorgasbord you have worked on so diligently. So, there are those. And then number three, if you would like to check out any of my books, read them, roast them, enjoy them like you would barbecue, they're available wherever you get books, and I hope that you do enjoy them. And look out for more, because I have some things I am so excited about. Can't get enough of. If you know, you know. If you know, you friggin' know. It's so good. Okay, I'm like so ridiculously excited about some of the stuff that I'm working on, okay? Even if I'm not working on it as diligently as I should be. With that said, let's get into the topic. I'm sorry if I kind of meander. Like I said, it's been a long week. The first thing that I want to talk about today, and maybe it's already too late for this, but it is the Hogwarts Legacy shenanigans. There have been so many shenanigans going on with the release of Hogwarts Legacy, from just straight up bullying, you know, the continual bullying of J.K. Rowling and fans of the books, to the boycotting of the game, thinking that it's going to hurt this woman when she's already made her bank from the game by them buying the rights, to also creating a website to blacklist streamers that played the game and bully the streamers and go after a bunch of random streamers that are just playing a freaking video game. And here we have Reset Era bans all Hogwarts Legacy threads, as if this is going to do anything but kill your own website, because you're stopping conversations that people want to have. You're literally killing traffic. This is from Game Rant, and all of the articles mentioned today will be listed in the description down below if you would like to take a look at them yourself. Going into the article, despite not having released yet, I know, see, this is how late I am, because when this was published, February 20... Whoa. Oh. Because never mind. This was published February 24th, 2021. Despite not having released yet, Hogwarts Legacy, the latest game in Harry Potter series, has attracted its fair share of controversy. Controversy that has started to affect who wants to be associated with the game. From the moment that it was announced, there have been people who were unhappy with Hogwarts Legacy and its association with J.K. Rowling. While the developers have confirmed that Rowling is not going to have any input on the content of the game, there are a lot of people who still don't want to support it because J.K. Rowling has expressed anti-transgender viewpoints on the Twitter account. I noticed how that's not linked to anything. Even if she's not making the game, they don't want to support her views by buying it and giving her money. These feelings only got more intense last week as Twitter user Liam Robertson uncovered that Hogwarts Legacy lead designer Troy Levitt had uploaded several videos on his YouTube account in the past supporting Gamergate and other far-right causes. In response, again, I like these claims with no link. It's like, we have this link, but where are the rest of your sources? Okay. In response to this new information, gaming forum Reset Era has banned all promotional discussion of the game. This comes as the first time the forum has ever had a blanket ban on threads relating to a specific game. According to the moderator who posted the announcement, the ban covers any trailers, official announcements, hype threads, or fluff, allowing exceptions only for major new developments about the controversy. He also left the possibility that the official thread might be posted for the game closer to the launch date in case minority members want a space to discuss the game's contents where they will not be shouted down by bigots. There's a reason so many once dedicated fans are leaving Harry Potter behind and refusing to support Hogwarts Legacy. They are passionate about not supporting bigots, harassers, and those who support them. Many transgender people of the community and their allies are undoubtedly happy about the ban, and that the moderators have said loud and clear that the bigots have no place on the platform. I just would like everybody to take a look at what the word bigot is described as: a person who is utterly intolerant of any different creed, belief, or opinion. This sounds an awful lot like the bigotry of J.K. Rowling. You know, you don't have to like what she says. You don't have to like what she believes. You don't have to like her as a person, but this seems a lot like bigotry. Complete intolerance. On the other hand, there is a good reason that some people don't care what the developers or J.K. Rowling believe. Levitt even claims that Warner Brothers Interactive does not care about his old videos. Of course, Levitt and Rowling are not the only ones associated with the Harry Potter franchise. There are undoubtedly people in Hogwarts Legacy development staff who care deeply about transgender issues and supporting transgender individuals. There may even be people on the staff who are transgender. By refusing to support the game on principle, people are refusing to support them, which is fair. Are you going to do a background check on every individual of every product or every story or every movie that you ever consume? Because let me tell you, you 100% chance do not agree with everything that everybody on anything that has worked on anything believes in. This is an unrealistic standard. So you've still got, this was obviously, 2 years ago now? The threads are still banned. The controversy has gotten worse, what with people threatening J.K. Rowling continually, threatening streamers, threatening anybody talking about this. This has basically become a sales pitch for a lot of people that are contrarians and just want to say, stick it to them. But lo and behold, do not listen to those that try to threaten others. Look, the first thing, if you don't want to support something because you don't believe it, you don't have to support anything that you don't want to support. That's a whatever. It's when you start peer pressuring other people or bullying other people or targeting other people or threatening people for not sharing your beliefs or sharing your behaviors that you are a bigot, that you are violent, that you are actually the problem here, not the people who disagree with you and want to just play a stupid video game. But on top of that, so many of these loudest people that do this, that say they are your friend, that call themselves allies, are just liars, bullying you. And I can only assume it's status. I'm also obviously saying that it is an assumption, because what happens when they ban all of this stuff to say they're gonna stand with certain people? It's also, come out that so many of the people that work at Reset Era are playing Hogwarts Legacy when they've told you not to play it, when they've taken a stand against Hogwarts Legacy to say you better not play it. Rules for thee, but not for Cold Sun and company. It's garbage. It's a way to control you, to say that they create the rules, you do the behavior. If they say jump, you say how high. That's what this is. That's what it has always been. And if you do not conform, you're immoral because you're supposed to follow their lead. Somehow, they've been given this idea that their opinions matter, that their thoughts are the most moral, and that if you disagree with them and their preferences, you are the problem, you plebeian. I don't understand this. It's bully culture at its worst, and it's taken over so much. All you have to do is tell these people freaking no. They don't control you. They don't have a say over you, and they don't control your intentions. And if they go, well, if you support this, then you're against these people. Shut up. You don't get to determine. There's a better way to say that, I'm sure. You don't get to determine what other people's intents are. People do worse things all the time, actually out of hatred. You don't get to control behaviors. And this is one of the more insidious things that has been happening and taking over in the creative cultures and just entertainment and enjoyment and doing things, is this idea of calling people immoral and labeling them in order to try to force them into a behavior. You either use these labels to force somebody to conform to what you want them to do, because if you make a claim, especially a malicious claim, like an insulting claim, like you're some kind of bigot or racist or whateverist, a good person is going to want to prove you wrong and show you that you are wrong, because they don't like being called those things. And making a false statement is one of the quickest way to get an emotional response, and then that's going to cause somebody to respond accordingly. So this is a control means. It's either going to make you conform so that you're not called something, or you're going to be contrarian or, specifically rebel against that name calling, go to this other side, and then they will force you to embrace their values that you may not agree with, but at least you agree on the freedom of things. I've seen this so many times with specifically the culture war right-wing stuff, where they've been taking the left that are leading the left, and then they go over here, and then they're called conservatives when they're not conservatives. And then this side over here that took them in because they're for the free speech and they're for the freedom start going, wait a second, you're not a real conservative. You don't do X, Y, Z. And then there's this pressure to conform to that instead of just allowing creatives and fun people in general to just be fun. It's trying to turn everybody into a political pawn. And it's not cool, and it's not cool is an understatement. I don't know what else. I told you, I am tired today, so please bear with me. But it is a control mechanism. And you are not whatever these people define you as. They are just trying to make you behave. They are trying to force you into compliance to things that they don't actually believe, that they don't actually listen to, and that they don't actually want to follow because they want to play these silly games too. They just want to look like moral and better people than you, which is why they will take the dumbest shit ever to moralize. Like, oh, you can't use that specific word because it makes me feel bad personally. I'm sorry, I'm not writing this book to make you feel good. Oh, you can't make a main character do that thing. That's immoral. I'm sorry, I don't remember when I was writing a morality play specifically to play to your morality. Are you going to? Now, before you start playing any of these games of this, I don't agree with this person. Look, I know for a fact that I don't agree with everybody that is in the Discord, that I don't agree with everybody that I am best friends with, that I am very close with. And that's fine. The disagreements don't mean we have to dislike each other or hate each other. It only becomes that in the case that you assume the disagreement or the different approach or the different point of view is because that other person is evil. And if they agreed with you, and if they weren't evil, then they would agree with you. But a lot of the time, it is generally, most of the time, it is generally they have a different experience. They just see things differently. And it is manipulative bullshit to make your preferences and your beliefs be the moral one and to go on the attack and bully people into moral complacency with your made-up morality. Garbage. Because look, it always comes back to this. Garbage. It's okay to disagree. I will be the first to say, look, one of the reasons that I say that I'm an idiot now at the start of videos, not just because of this sign back here, but because I don't get everything right. I don't think I get everything right. I just bring my opinions and experiences and try to share some of my viewpoint, and maybe it's correct and maybe it's not correct, but we can at least share perspectives and get different ideas of how people view things differently or why they approach things the way that they do. Like one of the things that I constantly talk about, mentioned in my most recent video from Thursday, was how I didn't like cheaters as the protagonists in fiction. And I can get over a lot of things in fiction. I can understand a lot of motivations. I cannot get over cheating from the main character and the justification of cheating. And I specifically understand that because of my situation with my parents and my father cheating on my mother and my father leaving my family, abandoning my family, saying, fuck it if all of the kids get messed up because these are the statistics for what happens to your children when you divorce and abandon your children. And he said, I don't give a fuck if that happens to my children, and walked out and then tried to make my mother homeless. She didn't do anything, but my dad still was a malicious asshole. And tried to wreck the family more after he'd already left. So I have a problem with cheating because I gotta watch the damage personally up close and feel it myself. I am still dealing with the fallout, and I will never recover from what my dad did. I can cope, I can move on, but I will never get to be the person that had the dad that loved her. I get to be the person that recognizes. I get to be the person that recognizes that even at my sister's wedding 2 years ago, my father would not look in my direction. I did nothing. I was 12 years old. He cheated on my mother and chose to leave when he was given a chance to make up with the family. I get to live with that rejection. I get to live with the outcome of that rejection and how it affected my siblings, how it affected my mother, how it affected me and the rest of my life. So I don't have any sympathy for cheaters or for parents that walk out on their children and act like they are the victims when they are the protagonists of the story. Now, that's just my point of view, because I also understand, getting back to the point, I also understand that many people find cheating to be a kink, find cuckolding to be a kink. I don't. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's attractive. And I will never like your character for doing it, but other people will. And that disagreement between them and I does not mean that either of us is evil. It means that we've got different experiences. We are just different people, and we can enjoy different things without attacking the other person. So getting back into the Hogwarts Legacy thing, which is literally just an extension of this morality testing and saying, you need to abide by what I think is moral, do what I say, or I am going to come and fucking wreck you. You need to stop it. You are out of control. These people are out of control, power thirsty, and want to emotionally manipulate you into compliance and submission to them by affecting and influencing your self-image and the way other people see you. They want these types of people that are threatening these names. If you don't use the words that they choose, if you don't use the ideas they choose, they are threatening your reputation. They are threatening what the world thinks about you. They are bad people for doing this. I know I'm now making a morality call. They are threatening who you are in order to get compliance. I don't think that we're in this position of that's moral relativity. No, it's not. Just like raping someone is not moral relativity, please. Just like robbing a bank at gunpoint is not morally relative. Not playing that game. Differences of opinion is one thing. Forcing compliance to your will is another. Which leads me into this next thing. There has been so much in the creative community. I did a video before about an award being taken away from an author because of this uproar against her, calling her transphobic. Even though she was a member of the LGBT, even though she had other members of the LGBT standing up for her, but because of the crowd, she was attacked. And so this is constantly a thing. Is this mob mentality? Is this moralizing everything? Is this attack to force people into compliance and to oust people that they believe do not belong? This is also a reason why so many people are giving up on traditional publishing, because traditional publishing is also pushing this. The institutions are all pushing this, and getting published or getting an award is more and more becoming not something that happens because your writing is good, because your writing is marketable, but because you've got the right ideas for this moral Gestapo. So let's get into this. This article is from The Daily Beast. Author booted from Horror Writers Association over racist, transphobic rants. Thomas Montelone, 76, had previously been honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the group. Horror fiction fans are used to being disgusted, but the hate-filled words of one of the genre's leading writers has left many feeling truly sickened this week. I will never understand how people are like, yes, rape and dismember a baby, that is totally fine, but just don't say a mean thing about any sort of race except for white people. Otherwise, I am so sick to my stomach. That is the most vile thing, not desecrating babies or animals or dead bodies or doing anything that is actually horror. Nah, let's just say everybody disagrees with that anyway, so that's not actually nasty. The real horror is mean words, not death. I don't know, chat. Why don't you tell me? Would you prefer to be murdered brutally after being tortured, or to be slurred at? Which one is the worst situation to be in? Comment down below. On Tuesday, this is so funny. I've seen the comments that try to say, but murder in books is fine because everybody mostly universally agrees that murder is bad. But when it comes to like a racism or a sexism or any sort of other ism, you can't tell if the author agrees or disagrees with the ism. And not everybody has the same morals, so you can't know. Why are you trying to interpret the intents of the author? Also, how do you know that the author isn't totally in support of whoever it is that is being murdered? There could be targeted fantasy murders inside of this stuff. And you're just assuming that the intent was, oh, that's just fiction because it's murder. Bruh, let me tell you, bruh, come close, come closer. There are more messed up people than you realize. Murder has been part of the human experience since the first generation of human children. All it took was one step away from the first generations of humans, even in the Bible, to get a murderer. Yes, we're talking about Cain and Abel. It took one generation. No, everybody does not believe that murder is bad. In fact, people will justify to themselves how their murder is justified constantly because we run circles in our own heads to make ourselves the victim and the person that we victimized the bad guy. Nastiness is in human nature. It's in human blood. It is what humans do. So no, humans universally agree on generally selfishness. But assuming that, oh, it's okay to have murder and other worse crimes in books, especially romanticized versions of those crimes, because in real life, everybody agrees that it's bad, but racism or other isms cannot be in books unless it is very clearly stated as a bad thing, is garbage. Use your brain. Read the book. See if that is just a character flaw, because characters have flaws all the time. On Tuesday, the Horror Writers Association announced that it had decided to expel Thomas F. Montalone, 76, from its membership and ban him from future events run by the organization. Montalone, who has written dozens of novels and edited the popular Borderlands horror anthology series since the 1980s, had previously been honored with multiple prestigious Bram Stoker Awards from the HWA, including with one of its 2016 Lifetime Achievements Awards. But a statement from the group condemned Montalone's recent words of actions, adding that the HWA trustees do not condone hate speech in any way, shape, or form. We stand in support of our members' rights to feel safe, welcome, and above all respected, the statement continued, adding that the ban on Montalone had been made in accordance with an anti-harassment policy. The statement did not provide details of precisely which of Montalone's words had offended, but the organization had come under pressure over complaints from the authors about his posts on social media. It is particularly saddening to see who was considered a legend in the field reveal themselves to be as racist, transphobic, and bigoted as Montalone has, thriller author Alan Baxter wrote in an open letter to HWA on Tuesday calling for Montalone's expulsion. Again, we're back to exactly what the problem was with the Hogwarts legacy. It is this pressure, it is this moralizing somebody else having whatever difference, and then also in this, you have zero evidence of anything. They didn't provide details of precisely what Montalones said or did. You've got empty accusations, and you're folding to empty accusations. It's garbage. Let people have their crappy opinions and support or don't support them. But awards are not about whether or not you are a good person, or if you're in mental and moral complacency. But you're going to retroactively take away awards or take away accolades because suddenly, oh, some people said that they didn't like him because he's got different opinions. What if I said I didn't like Paul Tremblay's opinions? Are you if I get enough people together, are you gonna get rid of him too? This is not a way to operate anything. This just causes more vitriol, more anger, and it makes people more sensitive. Have a conversation, be an adult, get over yourself that you have to be protected from people whose opinions you don't like. Either choose to interact with them or don't. But stop moralizing everything and saying that if they don't hold your opinions, they don't deserve anything. You're a bad person right now. Go fix it. Go look in the mirror and fix it. According to an overview of the saga published in Sci-Fi Fanzine's File 770, much of the outrage began in the last week when Montalone posted on Facebook about why he believed author Stuart David Schiff deserved his own Lifetime Achievement Award from the HWA. The zine quoted Montalone as writing, "That said, and despite the last few LAA years looking very much like a very obvious DEI project, I am compelled to nominate a smart old white guy, Stu Schiff." The post reportedly attracted over 800 comments before it was taken down, with some agreeing with the sentiment and others calling him to apologize. We've had so many industry insiders that say this sentiment, and you've got the mixed thing. I've done a couple of videos, I think, on here highlighting different stories in the industry about this specific sentiment, where you end up on social media where the industry insiders, the agents, the whatnot, other writers are saying this isn't happening while simultaneously saying it's good that it's happening. Can we just have an open conversation? No, because this is bullying people into whether or not they're allowed to speak, whether or not they're allowed to have an opinion. Oh, but actions have consequences. You're a bully. Which doesn't even go far enough. Montalone then appeared to double down on his views on a YouTube livestream on Monday titled "Facebook Has AIDS" with Tom Montalone. Montalone said that he would not apologize and still intended to attend the HWA's upcoming StokerCon. He went on to bemoan the odd posturing that he'd seen in previous iterations of the event, where one award was given to a fat black chick, calling his words an honest repertorial description. This is who she is. The person described by Montalone identifies as non-binary and does not have she/her pronouns. Diversity is great as long as it's not diversity of opinion, Montalone continued. I'm not allowed to believe that the last 3 years of these awards have been severely skewed towards people that have been in the past called, quote, marginalized, he said. Oh, wow, you've been writing while Indian? Well, we're going to give you an award. You've been writing while black, you get an award. No problem. You're female and you're not a white male, you get one. He went on to brag that he won't call anybody that's a single entity they, adding, whoever came up with this nonsense needs to be taken out into the back and beaten with a rubber hose because it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. And despite the backlash, Montalone maintained that he was not worried about the uproar from wokesters who hate him. I have a very healthy ebook royalty coming in every month for the last 40 years of my stuff. So you know what the rest of them can go do? They can suck it. I have apologized to those I personally offended on that dumb podcast, and everyone accepted my mea culpas. Montalone told the Daily Beast, as far as my belief, the HWA has tilted left and politicized itself. I can't shy away from that opinion. In many ways, I am relieved to be apart from an organization. I was no longer feeling a part of it anyway. That's it. Yeah, this is an issue. And we see it all the time. The fact that even discussing this sort of thing can make people nervous, can make people pull back, can get you prepared to be attacked, shows you that there is a problem because people are not being open to having conversations. And there is such a vitriol out there in general to having any sort of conversation that they're ready to attack you for it. That's what happened with James Patterson, is he made a comment and people went after him to take it down instead of proving him wrong. It is threats. It is compliance. It is demands of compliance. It is not an open conversation. And that tells me that there is a problem in this discussion. Now, as far as I know, I did a video on the Bram Stoker Award earlier, I think last year. Probably because it is 2023 now. If you want to look at that. But I have seen so many organizations turn to politicization, and I hate it. We are here to be creative. We are here to tell different human stories, are we not? So then why are you limiting them? And you're a bigot. And you're probably some sort of ist, depending on what you say. If you look at somebody and you say, their story has already been told because somebody who looks like them has already told it. You really want to play that game? Because I'm sorry, I think every individual is valuable. I think every individual has a point of view and perspective that is painted by who they are, what they've been through, the experiences they've had, the choices they have made, the paths they have come through, the adversities they have defeated, and the values they hold. You can give 100 authors the same premise, and they will come up with different characters, different themes, different choices in the stories. Regardless of what they look like. If you have them all look the same, they will still come up with different stories because they are different people. It is so disgusting and disingenuous to say, you look like that guy over there, so your story's already been told, you're the same person, basically. How do you not see a problem with that? If this is you, how do you not see a problem with it? So getting into the last story from The Spectator, why are publishers such cowards? Tying in to the last. This is by Lionel Shriver. After publishing 17 books, I'm no stranger to publicity campaign. In my no-name days, my publicist would purr that my novel release would be review-driven, which decodes, we don't plan to spend a so on your doomed inconsequential book. By contrast, speaking of inconsequential books, check out Boom Boom Boom. By contrast, as we've seen, write large with Prince Harry's spare, your volume can be cast upon the public waters as not a mere object, but an event. The intention is to convince book buyers that unless they snap up a copy sharpish, they'll be caught up short at cocktail parties. Thus, quite a long time ago, some editorial baldric at William Collins must have whispered to Nigel Biggar, a newly signed author at HarperCollins imprint, quote, I have a cunning plan. Clearly, the concept driving this week's release of the Oxford Professor's Colonialism, A Moral Reckoning, which before our current year zero would never have caused a stir, was to convert misfortune to opportunity, much as a manure can convert to fuel. As I've read the story in some 10 different articles, interviews, and reviews, including last week's Spectator, we'll keep the recap short. Bloomsbury commissions books on the British Empire. Bloomsbury loves books on the British Empire. Bloomsbury gets the willies about too hot to handle manuscript, claiming British Empire did some good as well as bad, and pays off authors to go away. Behold yet another cancellation in the industry that once audaciously scandalized genteel sensibilities with the likes of Ulysses, or Lady Chatterley's lover, and is now renowned instead for cravenness, fearfulness, and slavish conformity. I'm pleased to report that the cunning plan, which doubles efficiently as revenge, appears to have been a smashing success. Bloomsbury's hanky-twisting deference to amorphous public feelings about Britain's imperial past has helpfully positioned colonialism as a Slavo in the culture wars. Although neither history nor ethics is commonly commercial catnip, Biggar is everywhere, from the Times to the Daily Mail, enthusiastically endorsed by Niall Ferguson, among other heavy hitters. Biggar's book is bigger and bigger. Last I checked, at number 19 on Amazon. In the US, the self-identified progressive left constitutes only 6% of the population on a simple profit-making level. The extreme left-wing bias in the Anglosphere's publishing industry is baffling. In the case of Biggar, Bloomsbury has made a keen financial sacrifice to avoid controversy, and controversy sells books as well, though the company denies it to appease younger staff. Much maligned by lefty activists, the novel American Dirt by Janine Cummings has sold 3 million copies. Woody Allen's benighted memoir went on to become a bestseller after Hatchett's child assistant staged a hissy fit that got the contract canceled. Ditto Helen Joyce's Trans and Abigail Schreier's Irreversible Damage, despite booksellers' bizarrely self-destructive boycotts. There's money in anti-woke, and most major English publishers are too fastidious to rake it in. Also, I have to continually say this because I mentioned it in my other video about shitty marketing tactics that I hate, is this whole idea of anti-woke, is just publish books that are the ideas. We don't need the marketing of, this is for the wokes, this is for the anti-wokes. We need stories and we need nonfiction that are about subjects, not that are in rebellion against specific people, because all you do is turn off other people who could actually enjoy or learn from or want something. I could want stuff that is in a book that may be considered woke, but you're marketing it in a way to make me not want it. I could want something that is, I could be interested in content that is in a book that is considered anti-woke. But when you sell it that way, you're automatically politicizing it and not allowing me to have the story. You're selling morals. You're selling a political position. You're selling a more moral reading content, and I hate it. I don't want to be a part of this left or right, of this political whatever. I want to read stories. I want to learn about humans, and people have forgotten, it feels like, what it means to just be human. That trouble doesn't have to be political. That political with government, political with disagreement, can be down on a human level if you remember how to talk to people, instead of figuring out the color of the person so you can choose whether or not you should listen to them. So I hate this sort of sales thing. You're turning people off by demonizing the other side by the very basis of how you're marketing a book. I don't care which side does it. I'm not a part of either, much to the chagrin of people that want to label me. For my part, my agent surmises that few American houses other than the plucky, cannily mercantile HarperCollins would take on my terrifyingly subversive fiction and ghastly political reputation. The rare editors, she says, who might otherwise be amiable to publishing my work are already exhausted from defending a few intellectually wayward authors surviving on their lists and would never invite more aggravation. I'm often approached by authors whose manuscripts may not be right-wing, but aren't ostentatiously left-wing. Could I please refer them to an agent or editor who might still have an open mind? It's now a truism that white males have a vanishingly small chance of being published anywhere, although I've seen no market research verifying that the book-buying public don't want to read white males' works. Yeah, we got some bias problems all over the place for all sorts of people, let's be real. Why has publishing grown so doctrinally uniform and gutless? I'll take a stab. Cowardice is contagious. Courage is rare. Most people are conformists, really, and hewing to a rigid set of progressive orthodoxies while shunning even faintly conservative writers has become the norm in the industry. Let me also make it clear that this is not just a problem with leftism, because I've also seen it in the right wing, where they also want conformity of certain thoughts and opinions, and if you come out of that, yeah, they don't like you. I'm pretty sure I've gotten in trouble with some right-wing people because I said I don't play that game. And I wouldn't be putting people in boxes. And I look at people as people, not as political labels. And they got mad at me. I know that I have put chicks with blue hair out there. Blake is a chick with blue hair, and I have seen her be judged immediately. Not for the content of her character. They don't give a shit about the content of her character. They judge her for the way that she looks. They judge me for the way that I look. They judge me for the sound of my voice. They judge me for whether or not I fit the ideal of whatever it is they think somebody like me should be like. There is conformity, and there is a fear, and if you want to move up in any industry, there is an assumption that you will just abide by and not criticize or not disagree with anybody who is going to be a potential ally, instead of, actually having conversations. I know with the people that I talk to on the regular, if we disagree, I want to hear you out. And it can be hard because it can be so easy to want to become defensive when somebody is disagreeing. But I think for me, it feels like people have forgotten how to disagree, that it is okay to disagree. That it's not personal to disagree, and it doesn't have to affect you on some deep interior level if you disagree. You have a reason to believe the way that you believe. I have a reason to believe the way that I believe. And I don't judge you for your difference. So why is it that we cannot just talk about our different approaches and difference of understandings without it being taken personal? Without trying to knock somebody else off the ladder because one of us has to be the dominant in the situation of disagreement. How about no? And it gets even worse when it comes to this disagreement culture, because I have times where I just say, I just disagree with this. I don't really want to go into it because I don't want to argue with you. Because most of the time when I've gotten into these conversations with, I disagree with you, but I don't really want to go further than that. I just want you to know that your opinion is not the only opinion. When I've been asked to further explain myself, why do you think that? Why did you view it that way? It just got turned into the person not listening, and instead, oh, well, this is why you're wrong, is because this is how I think of it. You said there was a misunderstanding. You said you wanted to know why I read something the way that I read it, when I told you, you just got defensive. This is why I don't, this is one of the reasons why I don't really like to engage in that with strangers anymore, because I don't think it's necessary. In most of these conversations where we got a difference of opinion, if somebody's coming at me and it seems like a debate or tried to change my mind, I don't want to get into it because I know you're not going to change your mind from my perspective. If you want to tell me about your perspective and your life and your ideas on certain things, I am glad to listen. But I'm just not into it. Or I go, I disagree, and you're like, let's debate it out to see who's right. I don't really want to. Especially on things where I know that you're not going to change my opinion. Like the value of housewives. I'm not going to change my opinion to think that they're useless. And that's fine. You can have your own viewpoint and I can have mine, and we can just not talk about it and not talk in circles and not be more insulting. But that's apparently very difficult nowadays. Like, I'm not threatened by your different opinion. Can we just... No? Okay. I'm not threatened by your choice of words. I'm not threatened by your choice of protagonists. Can you just leave mine alone? No. You gotta interpret my intent. You gotta consider using all of your characters for manipulation of the reader to try to sculpt the reader's opinions on things via telling stories. Look, I think trying to manipulate people through media covertly is disgusting and evil. You can do it if you want, because I'm, not in any position to tell you not to or to fight you on it. But we have a very big difference in values, and I don't think we can be friends in the long term, which is fine. Not everybody is meant to be friends with everybody else, but we have a very huge difference. And if you approach something like that with all of your main characters or protagonists must be moral, and I'll do a video on that specifically later because I really want to, then you're going to come at me with my characters who have flaws, who are not necessarily moral, and assume things about me and my intent because I'm not writing moral characters, right? Because there's this assumed responsibility that if somebody is writing a protagonist, it is our job to make sure that that character is a good example to the readers so that we don't encourage bad things. So then if that is how you approach reading and books, what happens when you approach authors or books that don't do that? And that becomes a projection of you assuming the morality of the author, because that's what you do when you're writing books, or that's what you do when you're telling stories. But things are a little more complicated than that, don't you think? Publishing execs would have studied subjects in humanities and were therefore indoctrinated in universities whose strong, consistent liberal biases. I freaking have no idea what The Spectator is. There is a large lean, specifically in the conservative direction of this article, that makes me uncomfortable because it is giving me biasism. But here we are. Geographically concentrated in London and New York, they inhabit a small, politically homogenous world. Occasionally, mavericks have learned to keep their mouths shut, lest they lose their jobs. And publishing doesn't exist in a vacuum. Obsession with race, gender, and manic fairness is in the air, which editors and agents weaselly inhale along with the rest of us. Sorry to sound disloyal to my sex, but publishing's pervasive timorousness must also owe in part to the fact that the book biz is now overwhelmingly province of female. This is to overgeneralize, of course, but at our worst, we want everyone to get along. We're natural communitarians. We fancy consensus. We don't like conflict. We're risk aversive. We aim to please. We want to be liked. We yearn to be regarded as good and kind of nice, craving moral approbation. Women are easily suckered into the progressive competition over who can be more concerned for the less fortunate, more allied with the mythical right side of history. There are many glorious exceptions to this caricature. Still, the feminization of publishing has diminished the industry's boldness. Women are a little less likely than men to take a chance that might backfire, to defy the cultural tide, or to take an unpopular stand and staunchly accept the flack. Too many women play it safe. Yet safe books are boring books. The threat of reading from television screaming is constantly. Ironically, too many predictable, numbingly virtuous releases narrowly tailored to suit a small political subset who might themselves be a bit sick of the white fragility knockoffs only put the industry and its employees in peril. What I'm asking for is actual diversity in books, mental diversity, emotional diversity, storytelling diversity. Give us stories about people and stop selling politics. Stop selling your political opinions and tell me human stories. Show me why these values matter in context of actually telling human stories. And also, there's more to freaking romance. The talking about how hard a dude's cock is when he looks at the chick. I'm sick of that. Books, you know who you are. That is not romance. I am here for the wholesome love that is powerful, that is meaningful, that is sweet. But can we get away from trying to homogenize storytelling, trying to homogenize the human experience, and putting expectations on people to tell specific stories because of their demographics? Because that's in there too. I've seen those complaints of people who are not white, who are being told by agents, or who have complained about being told they need to be writing stories about their experiences with their race or with their gender or with their specific demographics of whatever kind it is, instead of being able to tell the stories they want to tell. It's so messed up. And why is every book I'm picking up lately literally all the same? Every romance series does not need an amnesia arc. This is where we are. Publishers are cowards. Authors are cowards. Everyone is a coward because they don't want the controversy. And I understand it's scary. Because even this video, as I'm going to go and edit it, I'm sure I'm going to be like, this was a mistake. I said so many things. Because everything is always like, you could take that in the worst possible direction too, can't you? Everything can be taken in the worst possible direction with the worst possible intention, no matter how clearly you try to make your intentions. Look, guys. At the end of the day, guys, I want to be clear, okay? I like you. I care about you. We might disagree. I still want the best for you. Because I don't hate you because we disagree. I don't think you're evil because we disagree. Now, there is actual evil, not every disagreement. But we're talking about, like, hurting children. Not differences of opinions. And it may not be easy, because I think disagreement can affect the ego. Because you have to end up saying that maybe you were wrong about something, and maybe you attached too much emotion to that, or too much identity to that thing, so that when there's the disagreement, you have to reevaluate who you are as a person, because that opinion gave you value. And if that opinion is wrong, then it affects your value and how you think of yourself. But you don't have to. And it's okay to change your opinion. Even though sometimes it feels like people are like, you don't get a second chance. After you change your opinion, you're just flaky. No, it's okay to grow and learn. We need to bring back discussion. We need to bring back forgiveness. We need to bring back that it is okay to change your mind and grow and become a different person or a better person. Because you've learned things, because you've experienced things, because you've thought about things. And also, we need to bring back not trying to slap a label on somebody to either scare them into something, because that's not going to work, or because one of the most annoying things when you're trying to have a discussion is somebody assuming your intent, slapping a label on you for why you think that way, to try to get an emotional response out of you so that you either conform or don't conform. It's a trap to get you to defend yourself, and it's insincere. I like hearing differences for whoever made it this far, for whoever is not angry with me yet, because I'm sure that there are people that are angry, that will be angry. Right-wing bias. I do not like that kind of language, and I probably should have read through that article more thoroughly before, but, you know, I'm judging you, spectator. Calm it down. You're not helping anyone. And it's also that sort of thing. I know I'm going off on one last tangent. That sort of thing just ignites more flames, just ignites more tension, because it's not showing any empathy or compassion or discussion. It's going, look at those dumb people over there. Let's put more vitriol, more labels, instead of disarming and discussion. But whatever. I guess it's just in my nature to make everybody angry, because all I want to do is tell hopeful stories that might look depressing at first. I want the wholesome. My gosh, do I want the wholesome fun? Do I want the love? And hopefully you'll get it soon. I do have some books already that are about the love. I hope you'll have a good time. That's for you. Boop. So, anyway, with that said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the cowardice, on the Hogwarts Legacy, on all of the politicized awards, because so many of them are political now, and more organizations are getting political. Also, I'm looking at you, freaking Sci-Fi Fantasy Association, that has a history of pedophiles. But yeah, let's worry about somebody's Facebook posts. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of this disgusting mess in the comments down below. Looking forward to them, even when it's disagreement. Please try to be nice. That is all I'm asking for, is a nicer world where we don't need to rip each other apart for differences. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and have a great weekend. Don't die.
Hello, boomers! My name is Yanananana. How are you feeling today? In case you didn't know, I'm a YouTuber from Nide, a small town in eastern Ukraine. My family has never really understood what I do in the woods, but all I've ever wanted is to make a better life for us all. Papa always comes home from the mines dirty, angry, and tired. It's a necessary evil to do your job and be in a place that you don't want to be. But I've never wanted to spend my life doing exactly what was necessary of me. Everything changed for me when a couple of Americans appeared at my door. They said they wanted to sponsor my channel and handed me military-grade explosives. Can you believe it? Military-grade. The lights will be incredible going forward. With this help, my videos will be next level. I just hope they are as they say, and this isn't some kind of trick. I mean, what would there be to gain? Boris says people are simple. Everything comes down to money and power. And Alex tells me ignorance will not save me from trouble. I understand where they are coming from, but I do not like to think that way. There is more to life than a cruel of superficial goods, hatred, and destruction. Anyway, I do not like where this video is going, so I will see you on the explosives field. Boom, boom, boom. Salute.